That always makes me smile. Well, after sitting around recovering from this accident, I get to realizing we're already in September, and that means Biketoberfest will be here in no time. So I'm going to fix something that's been irritating me since last year's Biketoberfest, and that's this charger. I've had good luck with quad lock stuff, quad lock products, except for their USB stuff. So here's a waterproof USB power supply, essentially. So what I've been doing is plugging into that. It's tied into the ignition system. I throw my phone on, I plug it in, and it charges. Here's the problem. A lot of times I'll turn it on and it'll say it's charging and it'll be lit up in green, and I'll ride along and think nothing of it, and the whole time the battery is just going dead. Not the biggest issue if you're just commuting to work or whatever, but for example, last year going to Daytona, you're talking 2,500 plus miles in a week. So much time on the road, that's when this becomes a problem. And I've also had a problem with quad locks, other USB power supply, which has a switch on it. So this one is just powered. So as soon as it gets power, this thing creates power and you're powering your phone. On the Tuono 660, they have a voltage sensing power supply for USB, and it's tied into the wireless charging head, which I don't have on this. And I've had that one fail a few times. Same thing. It'll light the phone up. It'll tell you that it's charging. In this case, it'll light the wireless charger up and you'll connect and it'll tell you that it's charging, but it wasn't charging. So I went through a couple of those, and now this one is failing on me. So what I'm going to try is to switch this out for this 12 volt to 24 volt waterproof wireless charger. So this one's hardwired, because I'm starting to have doubts, or I'm losing faith in quad lock's ability to produce a USB signal. So we're going to get this off of here, leave the rest of the mount, get this thing mounted up, and then wired. And hopefully, I think other than an oil change, she's pretty good to go. I'll look at the tires, but otherwise we're ready to go to Florida once this is installed. I guess we can get rid of this wire. I don't need that anymore. 3mm. That's everything quad lock goes together with 3mm, and it goes together and comes apart super simple. I like to use regular mounts rather than the ones that clip onto the handlebar. I don't know, maybe I got spoiled because I didn't have bikes with handlebars for years. But I prefer something that has, this more solid looking mount. It looks like it belongs on the bike, in my opinion, rather than something clamped on here that brings, the phone over, whatever. But hey, to each his own. This is just my preference, and I've had good luck with it. I have a similar type of mount on Ducatis. I have this same mount on both Aprilias, and I like it. So highly recommend. All right, so we get this out of the way. This is going to just hang for a second because I got to clip all the zip ties, and then we'll get the wireless one mounted. Then we'll run the wires. I installed this mount, or this USB charger. It's been probably since when I first got this bike, so actually it's not that long ago. May of last year. But I don't exactly remember where I wired everything. That's what happens, right? It's not like I'm doing this repetitively enough to come up with a way, but came up with a way good enough, I guess. That'll be how I'll leave it. More wire ties. I wonder how much I got to take apart. You know what? We'll start with the seats and this side panel, because the battery's mounted inside here under the seat. And I get it. Most people are like, oh, well, all batteries are mounted under the seat. Not true. The Ducatis, for example, the Panigale V4 essentially has the battery mounted in this area. The gas tank starts here and goes till back here. The 959 and the 1299, as far as I know, battery's actually mounted behind the fairing somewhere right around here. So you have to kind of know where your battery is before you start routing wires, and then you'll end up routing wires to one place and the battery's in another place, and we don't want that. So I know the battery's under here. I have a pretty good feeling. I ran the wires down through here. I can actually see them now, and up into the battery. So we'll take a few things apart and disconnect this and pull the wire through, and go from there to wire up the new mount. And the new mount is super simple. This is what I like about this one, and why I've been interested in trying it, even though I've had it for a few months, is it is just power and ground. So I don't have to worry about Quad Lock's ability to produce a USB signal. I just have to worry about their ability to produce a wireless charging signal. Hopefully they've got that part figured out. I think I have enough wire to get where I gotta go. So yeah, I'll start taking this apart and get this mounted, verify. It is nice when a company uses just a simple, you know, design for putting things together, like one size, for example. Like, I give Quad Lock a lot of credit. Their system works really well. Their cases hold up, and they've held up for me. It's just a nice, clean, simple design. Sometimes those are the best. Don't go too crazy, you know. Aprilia is funny. So the bolts for the seat are up underneath here, but you have to remove the passenger seat first, unless you had a factory, and then it's a little tiny piece. But you have to do that with the key. Fortunately, they put it here and out of the way. But yeah, this is how Aprilia decided, this makes some sense to us. And the seat comes out. This clips into the lock. These go into rubber grommets, which, by the way, always break. So if you're going to have an Aprilia, you might as well buy some of these rubbers. Actually, the same thing applies to the Ducatis. After that, it's just 2 4mm bolts, and the seat comes off, and then you should have the battery right there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I will say, I give Aprilia some credit. Not the worst design ever, as far as how the tail section goes together, or how a lot of this bike is actually put together is not as horrible as you would expect if you're not familiar with foreign machines, or Italian machines in particular. You know, my experience with Italian machines has been very involved and complicated. We're talking not just Aprilias and Ducatis, but also working on other types of vehicles, working on, you know, Alfas and Ferrari, Lamborghini. You know, it's like, take what the Germans do, which is a lot of engineering and makes a lot of sense, and then just take the sense out of it. And the Italians tend to do a lot of engineering for no apparent reason. That said, I don't know, I still love them, you know. So this side panel is 3 screws. One here, which I've removed. One right up in here, also removed. And now this last one. And then the panel, if I remember right, like almost falls off. I believe you have to just shove it back a little bit, and the panel's in your hand. Now this is where I ran the wire. Now I'm remembering. Wires run up here, and oh, that's right. That's right. That's how the Quad Lock came. It actually had one of these. I have these. Good idea. I can run the wire close, or actually I could probably cut this off, and nah, I got better ones. I got better ones from the battery tenders. So I think that'll be the way we do it. There's a couple of zip ties I put in when I ran this wire. I think that's actually it for the zip ties. I wonder, I should probably use that. to pull a wire through so that I can then pull this back through in this tight area without having to worry. I think that's a good idea. And I'm wondering if having this here helps. Obviously this thing had to fit through, right? Because I put this up here and ran the wire. This wouldn't fit through, but this would, I think. We'll give it a try. What's the worst that happens? Okay, so if I just pull this wire through, this will be easy to route back. But it's through here that I'm concerned about getting the wire back through. So we'll give this a try. We'll take this yellow wire. I'm gonna just tie it up together a little bit. This will have a nice tug, nice place to pull on, won't come loose, hopefully, especially once the electrical tape is over it. So then we'll take the electrical tape and we'll run it this way, all right? Because I want it to be as smooth a transition to go through whatever's up there, whatever passage this wire has to make its way through. All right, now that it's all taped up, let's see if this goes through. This would be a score. If I can just pull this through and have that wire there to pull the new one through. It seems like it's coming. I don't remember taking any more of this bike apart. Oh, it's literally right here. All right, after freeing it from that little bracket in there, and now I've got my wire. I'm going to use this to pull this through the same exact spot. Once I route the wiring through everything here the way I want. So we'll play with that a little bit and see what we can come up with. It's funny. It almost fell in place. All right. Zip ties. This sucks because it looks like I'm down to my last 5 black zip ties, at least what I have on hand. So we'll see if I can get it routed. And any of the harder to get to zip ties, I'll make sure, or the very, very visible ones, I'll make sure to do them in black. And then if there's any that are easy to get to that I can replace in a day or so, I'll just throw white ones on and replace them as soon as I get the black ones. So we'll make this work one way or another. Worst part is the 5 black zip ties I have left aren't all the same size. I've got 3 of these smaller ones that I'm putting in right here, and I have 2 of these larger ones. So, like I said, we'll make do. I might actually end up with just enough. Maybe I don't need more than 5. We'll find out. Okay, non-functional, or partly non-functional, quad lock USB out. And now we can use this to run the wire, get this hooked up, and then we'll test to see how it works. Fingers crossed it works as good as the other ones that I've had experience with. Now, I've had good experience with the wiring, wireless charger, not so much with the USB ports. So that's the differentiation here. All right, let me get this wire connected here, pulled through, and we continue. And there we are. We have the wire pulled through and securely routed. I think I'll throw one more zip tie right here. And that actually should do it, I think, for zip ties up front here. I don't mind that this is a little loose because it allows the the phone to vibrate and hopefully not have camera issues. So I want to give this the room to do that. All right, zip tie, and then continue to run wires. Quad Lock really does make nice stuff. I mean, I've been a fan of their products for a long time. It's a real shame that for whatever reason, the USB parts of Quad Lock's products suck. I mean, I don't know how else to say that other than they suck, because they've done me zero help. Not Quad Lock the company. They did replace the voltage sensing USB module. They did replace that once, but when you start to see, you know, one after another failures, and if they leave you stranded in the side of the road in the middle of a state where you don't know, and you don't have navigation because your phone is dead or whatever, you know, it leaves you in a bad predicament. To Aprilia's credit, even though it's not original, right here there's a little USB that they sell. It's a little kit. It's not expensive. It ties into the ignition, and it's actually what kept me from getting stranded several times, because I would grab a wire from one of my bags that I would, you know, intend to use at the hotel room, and I'd plug it into the USB, wrap it around, and plug it into the phone. At least the phone didn't die. But you can imagine getting halfway someplace, or you know, you're a good part through the day, you think your phone's been charging the whole time, and you know, you go to stop for a snack or gas, and your phone blinks 20%, you know, low power mode. That's not a good feeling. So we finish this and hopefully never have to have that feeling again. So here's a junk battery tender wire that I just have lying around that I put together. And it's funny, as I'm checking it, it's a Quad Lock. So I guess at some point I got a replacement part and didn't need it. Here's the interesting thing though. This is actually meant to be on this side of the installation, right? So what does that mean? That means that this top one, the enclosed one, is power, positive, and the exposed one is ground. Which means if I was to simply wire this up, and I'm using these colors, right? Power and ground, power and ground. If you look here, you see it's backwards. So as strange as it's gonna look, the black wire has to go to the red wire here, and the red wire goes to the black wire here. And also, Quad Lock, why'd you stop doing this? Like, this would have been perfect. You know, if this thing had this end on it and the correct end, this would have been absolutely perfect. I would have just run the wire, plugged it into what I had existing, which was Quad Lock. So I don't know, Quad Lock, if you happen to see this or want any criticism for improvement, work on your electrical. Your mounting, perfect. Your electrical, not so much. In a fit of desperation, maybe you want to call it that. Maybe it's just that I didn't want to have to redo any part of this job. I went searching for more zip ties. You know, every time you get something delivered, right, a part delivered, they'll give you their own zip ties, 2 or 3 here or there. And, you know, I always used to just save them. I'd put them aside. I'd take one of the clear bags that they come in and just keep one bag and put all of the zip ties in it. And I always said, this is a waste of time. This, you know, you're never going to run out of zip ties. Well, I ran out of zip ties today. So all those years of saving the little pieces, that came in handy. So there's that. All right, I have a lead made with some butt connectors that we're going to tie in backwards here, right? But let's throw a little heat shrink over it first. I'd say about that much. And not that this is super exposed to the weather, and not that I ride this in the worst weather. And when I say the worst weather, I mean, I'm not talking about rain. Fresh water and electronics is not the biggest deal in the world, especially once in a while. But, you know, living in the Northeast, salt and all that stuff, this bike doesn't see that. I don't ride when there's snow or salt on the ground. And I also don't like, I will ride, but I don't like leaving the house when it's already raining. It's one thing getting caught in the rain. It's another thing looking up at the sky and going, looks like thunderstorms. Gonna rain for the whole day. I think I'm gonna go out and get wet. Not saying I haven't done that, just saying it's not my ideal situation. All right, I'm connected backwards and ready to heat shrink, but why don't we test this out first? Fingers crossed. So I turn the key on, and this little light, I should do something. Red. Red. Why is it red? Oh, that's not good. I wonder what red means. Okay, red means power on, standby, which is interesting because the one I have on the Tuono 660, it powers on one color and then it turns blue when it's ready to go. But this one doesn't. So it says it's on. Let's take the phone. And okay, here we are, charging. And if I turn the key off, charging goes away. Turn the key on. Give it a second. Come on. There you go. Don't make a liar out of me. All right. So we verified this all works. Let's do some heat shrink and then run the wire in the right way and zip it up. And let's start to button this thing up. It's a little windy today. I don't know if this is going to work or if I got to get the torch. But if I just get a break in the wind long enough, put a little heat shrink over these, now that I know they're all wired correctly, backwards, but correctly. And then route the wire, last few zip ties, and button it up. And this is the last of it. Run the connection through, make the connection. It's funny, right? Both quad lock pieces, and they don't exactly interchange with each other. Just, it's crazy. You know what? This is going to get tucked up inside here. And is it going to get wet? Is it going to deal with moisture? Why take a chance? Throw a piece of electrical tape over it. All right, this should solve any issues of it being exposed. I mean, again, it's not really exposed to all the elements. It's tucked up inside here, and you'll see where it goes. It's just run the wire up, and it stays up in here, along with a whole bunch of other electrical connections that haven't given any issues. This is my doing. Ignore it. But yeah, I think that's perfect. And it works. Well, it should work. It did work in the test. Come on. Aha. It didn't make a liar out of me. All right. I'll get this zipped together and fire it up. Just take it for a quick rip and make sure that nothing stops working while it's running. In an attempt not to bore everyone to death, myself included, the reinstallation is simply the reverse. So super easy. Pop it in, 3 bolts, 4mm, and you're done. One last test. We'll throw this phone on here and start it up, because a lot of times when something works on accessory, it doesn't work when it's running. So this is going to be loud. Most important thing is that we see this phone light up. So ignition on, running. Hey, how about that? All right, I like it. And now that it's off, it's off. Beautiful. Okay, I think there's only one thing left to do, and that's why my helmet's there. Let's go. Well, all good so far. She's charging. I really can't ask for much more than that, right? Hey. Anyway, yep, that's all I can ask for out of this thing. Now I just, let's see, a little over a month to go before we leave. I think we leave the day after Columbus Day, which means I'll probably spend Columbus Day working on this and the Rebel and make sure they're good to go to Daytona and back. I got 9,062 miles on this. So the next month, I'll probably have 10,000, do the oil change, go over the whole thing, and get ready to go down to Florida. It's the perfect timing to go to Florida too. October, whew. This will get chilly over here. Beautiful 80-degree days in Florida. Can't ask for much more than that. To see not only that it would turn the charge light on, but that it would actually charge the phone. And a little short ride like this is perfect to prove that, because I started off, I was at, let's see, 71%, and I'm now 74. So yeah, it's doing what it's got to do. Light is green, and it's actually charging. So hopefully this doesn't leave me stranded. I'm quite content. I'm going to take this home because this thing is loud. This is the loudest, I think, bike that I have at all times. Like, the Harleys, they get relatively quiet when they're at idle. You know, they kind of just potato. But this thing never quiets down. This thing's loud at idle. It's loud when you're revving on it. Like, this is just loud and obnoxious always. I do have an insert, a baffle, to put in this SC Project exhaust, but it is not in now. Because as much as I say this exhaust is obnoxiously loud, at the same time, I love it. So, there's that. Alright, that'll be the deviation for today. This side quest. I still have more to do, but minor stuff as we get closer. This was just something that's been bugging me about this quad lock. So, I figured I'd take care of this on this beautiful Sunday, this beautiful day before the next work week. And this way I don't have to worry about it. Alright, I'll leave you with that until next time. when we're back on the Tour Glide. I have some stuff ordered and some stuff apart on that. So for today, we'll take this win, this side quest win, that it is charging 78%. Perfect, beautiful, I love it. Yeah, until the next time.